Hello there, this is the Shadow Ranger. I'm back with another video. Um, this video is going to be answering a question that was sent to me by Jay Hobson. He sent me some questions for me to do my Q&A video, but he had one that I read that I thought should be its own separate video. So I'm going to talk about that topic now. This is what the question he sent me. It says, do you think TNA bringing in veterans or old WWE guys is an effective method of bringing in viewers? Honestly, they have brought everybody they can bring in and the ratings haven't drastically increased, and I constantly hear the IWC saying that pushing the homegrown talent or doing Spotfest X Division matches would somehow get them a 3.0 or something, but honestly, I don't think it will do any better than what they're getting now. So what else can TNA do to entice viewers and go above the 2.0 rating? In my opinion, I think TNA just has an awareness issue, so maybe they could have better marketing or promotion. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to address the 3 points he brought up with, and I think I'll do them in reverse order. So starting off, awareness issue, marketing or promotion. On that instance, I totally agree. I believe that is one of TNA's biggest flaws. There's still a lot of people don't know enough about them. They don't market their company well enough. There's a guy on YouTube by the name of Fool Killer 99. He does Impact reviews every week, and I remember he also does some blogs. And I remember reading one of his blogs where he talked about the fact that this was a couple months ago, and he said that TNA had a house show in his hometown, and there was no promotion about it. He talked about the fact he didn't see any ads or commercials or anything. He only knew that the show was there because he happened to see it on the TNA website. And he said he was at the show and he talked to some other people there, and he was asking them, did they see any advertisements? And he said the majority of the people he talked to there said no, there wasn't any. They hardly saw any type of ads or promotions about the house show. And then he said a short time later, though, an indie promotion came to his town and did a show, and he said the indie promotion had flyers and radio ads and TV ads promoting their show. And it is a flaw. I don't know why TNA has this issue. It makes me wonder why they spend so much money on some of these expensive talents when you don't promote them enough for people to know that they're there. I just feel like, the money you spend on Jeff Hardy, the money you spend on Rob Van Dam, the money you spent on Hulk Hogan and a lot of the other veterans is money that you could have spent on advertising. Because those veterans are enough to get people to come to a show. But now if you don't advertise, I use the example of this way. Say the Divas were having a lingerie party. It was free and open to the public. You can come party with the Divas in their lingerie, and free food, free drinks. All the Divas are there. They're looking sexy. It's just going to be a great old time. What's the one thing that would keep you from going to that party? Not knowing about it. If some billionaire says Thursday at 5 o'clock, I'm gonna stand on this street corner and I'm gonna give $1,000 cash to everybody who shows up until I run out of money, what's gonna keep you from showing up? Not knowing about it. No matter how good it is, not knowing about it is gonna keep you from showing up. If the most beautiful woman in the world wanted to make love to you, what's going to keep you from going to make love to her? Not knowing that she wants to. If you don't know that she wants to. I mean, that is one of TNA's biggest problems. And I just feel like, man, the money you spent on Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and Rob Van Dam and Ric Flair and Jeff Hardy and Sting and Kevin Nash over the years, how about spend that money marketing your product? You could have Impact in a different city every week if you marketed the product. It's been proven that they do get good results when they actually market their product. And it just amazes me why don't they do it more? I think marketing is a better investment than a big star. Let's see what's next. Bringing in veterans and old WWE guys, effective method of bringing in viewers. Veterans, yes. Old WWE guys, no. Legends. When I think veterans, I'm thinking legends. I think Hogan. I think Sting. I think that level of guy. I don't see a problem with bringing them in. I think there's a place for guys like that. Ric Flair, guys like that. I do think the TNA misuses them a lot. I think the veterans should be working in the capacity of managers or ambassadors for the company to promote the product. I mean, you want to get a good turnout for a house show. They go to North Carolina and do another show. Send Ric Flair there to do promotional tour, like a month ahead of time, and tell them TNA's coming. You want to go do a show in California? Send Sting to California. You want to do. Where's Hogan from? Venice Beach, Hollywood, wherever the hell Hogan's from. Send him there and do a show. But you can send Hogan. You can send anywhere. Send these guys there a month ahead of time and do promotional tour. A promotional day where they talk about TNA and give out and send them like we have boxes of free stuff to give out. Here's a couple of free DVDs and some free T-shirts. Like, here's some free TNA DVDs. This show is coming next month. Here's what you're gonna get if you buy a ticket to our show next month. Here's some free DVDs. Here's like a Best of the X Division DVD. Here's a Bloodiest Brawls DVD. Here's a Best of the Women's Division DVD. That helps. So if they're like legends, like huge names, yeah, just having them doing as like promotional in a promotional capacity, that's gonna get you attention and will get people to come to a show. Cause I was a big WCW fan, and if there was an indie show with some of the old WCW guys on it that I liked, that would make me buy a ticket. I liked a lot of the old WCW guys. If there was an indie show, well, I live in Korea, so that's not gonna happen. But if I was still living in the U.S. and there was an indie show in my neighborhood, and it said we're gonna have like Disco Inferno, Diamond Dallas Page, and the Steiner Brothers are gonna be on this show, I'd buy a ticket. I love those guys. If there was an indie show near me, it's like, hey, we're gonna have Buff Bagwell on the show. He's gonna wrestle. I'd buy a ticket to see Buff Bagwell. I'd buy a ticket to see Goldberg if he were on an indie show, or a lot of old WCW guys I like to watch. So yeah, it will get people. Just the nostalgia will get people to at least buy a ticket just to come out and see that old veteran. I mean, as old as he is, if there was an indie show near me and on the flyer it said special appearance by the Macho Man Randy Savage, I'm there. I know he's not gonna wrestle, but yeah, I'd buy a ticket to an indie show just to get to see the Macho Man, just because they said Macho Man is gonna be there. So yeah, it will get people to buy the show just on the nostalgia. Now, when you say old WWE guys, like ex WWE talent, that's a different story. About a month and a half ago, I heard an interview with Kevin Nash where he said something, and I gotta say I agree with him. He says that, to me, he said in his opinion, if you're an ex-WWE guy, that makes you tainted. Something must be wrong with you, because Vince McMahon is about business. Vince McMahon is about money. And if there's money to be made off you, Vince McMahon is going to make it. If Vince McMahon only fires you if he feels there's no money to be made off of you, or no more money to be made off you. And when you look at the track record on that, when has he ever been wrong? I mean, you've heard stories about guys being in one company and not becoming successful, or not getting over, or not doing anything significant, but they go to another company and become a big star. But whenever you hear stories like that, it's never a guy going from WWE. There's guys who went from ECW to WCW. There's guys who went from WCW to WWE. But I've never heard a story of it being the guy going from WWE. I've never heard a story about a guy who accomplished nothing in WWE, was a jobber, didn't get over, didn't become a star, didn't become a draw in the WWE. He left the WWE, went to another company, and became a big star in another company. I don't know of any. Now, granted, I'm only 25, so there could be some guys that are before my time. You know, I've been pretty much watching wrestling since like I watched as a little kid, like the late 80s, early 90s, but like as a serious wrestling fan, started about like late 96. But so if there's some you know of, let me know. But I can't think of one. A guy who was in the WWE, did nothing, was not a star. Then he left and went to another company and became a star. Another company made him a star when WWE couldn't. There's lots of examples of WWE turning guys into stars that weren't over in other companies. I mean, you know, you got Mick Foley, Stone Cold, Triple H, just lots of them. You know, there's plenty of examples. I don't have to go through them all, but I just can't think of a story of a guy that was nothing in WWE and became a star somewhere else. The only guy that I could even say is close, that was even kind of a star. I mean, he didn't become a big star, but I think he became enough of a star that some people, he was part of the reason you bought a ticket to a show. Like, I think he's a big enough star that if he was on an indie show, it would get you more tickets sold than him not being there. But I wouldn't consider him a huge star. He was never a world champion or anything, and that would be Conan. Early 90s, Conan was in WWE as a character, Max Moon. I think the kid was like a superhero from the moon who came to WWF or something like that. But anyway, yeah, he was in the WWF for a very short time in the early 90s. Didn't do anything there, was a jobber character, went to WCW. And I'll admit, WCW did turn him into a decent-sized star. He wasn't a mega star, he wasn't a huge star. But I think that's the only example I can think of. They did turn him into a star. That's the only one I know of where I would say did nothing in WWE, went to another company and became a star. Conan. That's the best I can do. Like I said, I think ex-WWE guys are somewhat tainted. There's something wrong with you. I look at it as like, man, if there was money to be made off you, why didn't Vince make it? I'm not saying that he can't be wrong. I'm not saying that you can't make some money with one of these guys, but for me, it's like, if there was money, Vince has never been wrong. I can't think of a single example where Vince McMahon, where you could say Vince was wrong. There was money to be made from this guy, and Vince missed the opportunity to make it. I can't think of any. Now, of course, the question now that I would have to answer is, what if I started a promotion? If I started a promotion, yes, I would hire some ex-WWE guys, because some of them are good talents, and some of them are good, big enough names where it will get you some extra sales off at the beginning. But once I got my company established, I would start phasing them out. You know, when I'm just starting out, yeah, I'd use a lot of ex-WWE talent just because of the fact that they're guys that people know of, like they're somewhat familiar. But once I managed to get my company to say the size of TNA. Not only saying, if I could get my company to the size and awareness and of, let's say, somewhere between Ring of Honor and TNA level, at that point I'd stop using ex-WWE guys, unless it was like a mega star. You know, if John Cena leaves, yeah. I mean, if it's a mega star, if John Cena leaves WWE, yeah, I grab him just for a little while, just to get the publicity off him, and try to get him while he's still hot. Outside of that, I kind of think, if something's wrong with you, if Vince McMahon fires you, it's because you have no more drawing power. There's no more money to be made off you. Let's see here. He departed about the IWC and X Division, Spot Fest, and Homegrown Talent. Okay, that comes down to perception. You do need to push your homegrown talent, build your own stars, because it's perception that's gonna mess you up. If you don't build your own stars, you're gonna lose viewers on perception. The perception will be that, oh, you're just the WWE retirement home. If WCW got that bad reputation for that they did push enough of their homegrown, build enough new stars, because eventually, no matter how big a star is, we're eventually gonna get tired of seeing them. A lot of people are tired of seeing Hulk Hogan on a regular basis. You know, if Hulk Hogan was in TNA and just showed up like once every few months, people wouldn't have as much complaints about him. But he's not a guy we want to see every day anymore. People don't want to see Triple H every day anymore. Part of the appeal of the Undertaker is that he leaves for such long periods of time. People really aren't interested in seeing the Undertaker on TV all the time. That's why I always feel special when he comes back, because he's not there all the time. You know, because eventually we get tired of the guys. I'm tired of a lot of the guys I loved watching as a kid. I've gotten tired of seeing. You know, like I used to like Edge a lot, but I'm tired of seeing Edge. I've been watching Edge since I was in junior high. I'm tired of seeing Edge. I'm tired of seeing Triple H. I'm getting tired of seeing the Undertaker. I'd be tired of the Undertaker if he didn't leave for like 6 months out of every year. So eventually we're gonna get tired of those guys that we've been seeing, and we want to see somebody new. So you gotta always have new talent ready to go to replace the older talents once we get tired of seeing them. I do believe TNA does need to offer in some way some differences to WWE. Just some things that WWE doesn't do that TNA needs to offer, because you don't want to be exactly like the WWE because you're on a smaller budget. If TNA just copies everything WWE does, they're just going to be seen as second-rate WWE, which I'm not going to watch. As much as I'm a fan of TNA, it's the differences that keep me coming back. If they were just a carbon copy of the WWE completely, I would just watch WWE instead. But there are some good, successful things that WWE does that I think TNA and all wrestling promotions should offer. You know, marketing, WWE, the promotion, how they promote themselves, how they market themselves. That is always a good thing. I think every promotion should try to market themselves the way WWE markets. You know, they spend a lot of their money on marketing their product, advertising their product. You always know WWE. Everybody knows who the WWE is, but they never stop reminding you. So yeah, pushing your homegrown talent, building new stars is always going to be important. Plus, it's important just to keep the wrestling business going. You have to always build new stars. People die, people retire, people just get too old to do it at a point. You can't have the guys out there forever. And talking about bringing in all the big stars and how it has increased their ratings, I think that goes back to marketing. Like I said before, no matter how many big stars you bring, it's not going to matter if people don't know that they're there. Plus, you have to do something with them interesting enough to make people want to see them. X Division Spot Fest is not the answer. You know, people always say, you know, focus on the X Division, focus on the X Division, focus on the X Division. But the reason they say that is because it's something that your competition doesn't have. And I don't mind that. But people, yeah, I mean, that's not gonna fill 20,000 seat arenas. X Division matches won't fill a 20,000 seat arena. It goes back to, again, characters, personas, storyline that people are intrigued in, and characters they care about. That's what sells tickets. There's nothing wrong with an X Division Spot Fest. I mean, I enjoy an occasional X Division Spot Fest. Unlike a lot of people who've been upset about it, I don't want X Division matches on TNA every week. You know, one of the things I liked about the Ultimate X match that made that fun for me to watch at Victory Road, because we haven't seen an X Division Spot Fest in a while. If you do it all the time, you get desensitized to it. I've gotten desensitized to the X Division stuff over the years. You know, when I started watching TNA back in 2004, I used to love watching X Division. I'm desensitized to that. I don't want to see X Division Spot Fest every episode. Give me one a month. Give me one X Division Spot Fest on pay-per-view once a month. That's enough for me. Maybe even once every other month. Maybe every 2 months. I don't want to see that on every show. I want to see wrestling. I don't want to see them just flipping, flopping, moving 90 miles an hour, not selling the thing, and diving all over the place. I don't think the Machine Guns are great wrestlers, but everybody seems to love them. I don't think that they're the best tag team in TNA. Beer Money is TNA's best tag team. Beer Money is the best tag team in wrestling today. But just because they jump around and move at 90 miles an hour and fly across the place, that doesn't make them interesting. That doesn't make them entertaining. What do we know of Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley as people? It's that's the thing that keeps me interested in them. Their weird, funny personalities. That's what makes me like them. I don't really give a crap about them flying all over the ring every 5 minutes. That's not. Yeah, it'll get people's attention. And the X Division would be great if TNA were PG. That's the problem with the X Division. They're not PG. X Division is PG. It needs a PG environment because the X Division appeals to kids more than anything. Kids love the X Division. The X Division is for kids. The X Division, it should be marketed to kids. There should be colorful characters and dudes in masks. Suicide should be the face of the X Division. A dude in a mask. Sharp Boy should be there. It should be luchadors, cartoony characters. You can still do the fast-paced stuff that some of the young adults like, but the X Division needs a PG environment to be at its most successful. Kids love the X Division. I've told this story on here before, but I will tell it again. I am an English teacher in South Korea. I mostly teach adults now, but last year I taught kids. I was doing summer classes, and we had some break time, and I asked the kids what they wanted to do during the break. They said they wanted to watch wrestling. So I decided to show them an X Division match. I showed them the Steel Asylum match from Hard Justice 2009. When the match started, when the video started, I just found the full match on YouTube. The kids groaned at the beginning because it wasn't WWE. You know, TNA doesn't really have a presence here in Korea. I don't even know that TNA airs in Korea, but nobody knew who they were. None of the kids knew who they were. They wanted to see John Cena. They wanted to see Triple H. They wanted to see, Undertaker. They had no idea who any of these TNA guys were, and they groaned. And I said, no, just watch. You'll like it, right? So they started watching the match. 2 minutes into the match, they losing their mind. They're loving it. Every 5 seconds, every machine gun spot, every time somebody falls, okay, they're just they were amazed by it. They loved it. They loved every second of it. And once I showed them an Ultimate X match, they lost their minds on Ultimate X. They was yelling for it, like they were begging me to see more. Show us some more. They wanted to see more X Division stuff. They loved it. But they were little kids. They were like 9 and 10 years old. They didn't know any of these wrestlers. They've never heard of them. They've never heard of TNA. They had no idea who they were. They just saw a bunch of wrestlers do the coolest spots they'd ever seen, and they wanted to see more of it. You want to do X Division? X Division needs to be marketed to the kids. The problem with the X Division is the fact that TNA is not PG. If you go have X Division and you really want to push the X Division, make it successful, TNA needs to go PG. The X Division it appeals mostly to kids. Kids will always love the X Division, but you need the rest of the show to be something that their parents will be okay with them watching. The X Division will make all those little kids, the kids who beg their parents for John Cena t-shirts will beg their parents to buy them Suicide mask and Sharp Boy mask and Motor City Machine Guns t-shirts. Kids love X Division. But their parents aren't going to let them watch TNA to see the X Division because the rest of the product is trying to be mature, and for a myriad of reasons, which I talked about in another video, trying to be mature and attitude in TV-14 is a horrible idea. That's another thing that I think is TNA's flaw, is that they let the WWE dictate them too much. They try to be the opposite of WWE. They need to be different, but they mistake different and just try to be opposite. WWE doesn't do blood, so they always have people bleeding. WWE doesn't do hardcore, so they always do hardcore stuff. WWE is PG, so they're trying to be mature and have people and Anderson asshole all the goddamn time, and that's not gonna work. They gotta tone it down. They gotta find that balance, that PG-13 balance. But back to the X Division stuff. People just say push the X Division because it's something that WWE doesn't have, and it is a hook. It's something to show that, hey, here's something different. Here's something you're not going to get from the WWE, and that's important. I personally, instead of trying to focus on the X Division with that, I would push the tag team division and the women's division more. I would worry less about rebuilding the X division and put more focus into rebuilding the tag team division and the women's division. Great women's wrestling is something that TNA could use for a reason. They need to appeal to more audiences. Like, they're gonna fail if they just try to please the hardcore fans. They need to appeal to a wider audience. Tap into audiences that aren't being tapped into. Look at the possibility. Back in the day, there used to be a lot of women who were wrestling fans. Tap into that, man. I think women would be more into watching wrestling if you had a legit women's division. If the knockouts weren't calling each other skanks and hoes and bitches all the time, and they were treated respectfully, and they were women who could actually get in the ring and wrestle and had good characters like they used to be. You could tap into a whole market of female fans, and if women like something, men will come too. Men follow the women. If women like TNA, men will watch TNA just because the women like it. What are the women into? Because if knowing what the women are into helps you get women. So I think they should do things to appeal to female audiences, and I think a respectable, good rate women's division will do that. I think improving the knockouts would do more for the company than rebuilding the X division. I think rebuilding the tag team division would do more for the company than the X division. I think that there are a lot of people who are great fans of tag team wrestling. I'm one of them myself, who miss it, who wish the WWE would do good tag team wrestling, but they're not TNA fans, and they don't like some of the other things that TNA does. But I've heard a lot of people online, and I've read a lot of people on many different websites who say that the tag team is the only thing that they watch. Reason they watch TNA, that they hate everything else in the company, but they do love that they do some really good tag team wrestling. I think that would help, because tag team wrestling, there's a lot of traditional old school wrestling fans who really miss tag team wrestling, and tag team wrestling has been on life support for over a decade, and TNA for a long time has been trying to bring it back, and they've done a good job, but they've started to slip in recently, and they got to get back on that. They've let their tag team division slip, partly because with Shelly injured, Machine Guns are out, and then they're thinking about trying to rebuild the X division. Has caused them to split up Jin Me. I think a good tag team division will do more for the company than a good X division. I also think the X division needs to evolve. It needs to get away from that high flying, super fast spot fest stuff. I think it needs to become more wrestling based. You look at like the cruiserweight division in WCW, which was my favorite thing about WCW, which was my favorite thing than watching wrestling as a kid, and you can see the glaring differences between the cruiserweights of WCW and the X division. That the X division focuses more on flash than when the cruiserweights focus more on wrestling. You look at a guy who was a great cruiserweight wrestler like Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio Jr., Billy Kidman. I would not consider those guys X division guys. Like, when I look at those guys, those were cruiserweight wrestlers. They used high spots sparingly. You might get 1 or 2 high flying spots in a match. X division, you'll get 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's overkill. They were also great technical wrestlers, and I see a lot of X division guys. I don't think of them as good technical wrestlers. I look at Dean Malenko, who's a great cruiserweight champion, but I don't think X division when I see Dean Malenko. But I think that sort of lighter weight guy need to move more towards the Dean Malenko, and less. They need to be more Dean Malenko and less Chris Sabin. That's why I believe that the guy that I would most want to have a long reign as X Division champion would be Kurt Angle. I think he is that great blend. I think he's a guy who could really get that division back where it's something good. I think he could help bring that division to that good medium. You could still have some high flying and high spots, but the matches shouldn't. But if you just have it going 90 miles an hour, everybody's flipping and flying all over the place. That's not wrestling. That's acrobatics. That's gymnastics. That's Crash TV. That's not entertaining. Just a fucking X Division spot fest is boring. Do a spot fest every couple of months, fine, but it needs to be more about I think the X Division has to be more about great wrestling than just fast spot fest. I mean, a lot of people like to hate on Robbie E, but I think that he's what more X Division should be more like him. He can move fast. He can do a little high flying when he needs to. He rarely does it. But I'd rather see guys like him and Kurt Angle. I'd rather see. I mean, if I could pick any two guys on the roster right now to have a feud for the X Division title, I'd pick Robbie E and Kurt Angle. That's a match I want to see. That's a match I say I want to. That's a match for the X Division title that I'd like to see. Let's see here. All right, veterans. All guys talked about that. Ratings increases, promotion, X Division spot fifth. Wait a minute. How much time have I at? Crap, I'm at 30 minutes. Damn. Alright, I think I've mentioned everything. J-Hop, thanks for that question. It worked very well. I was able to talk about it for half an hour. So, well, now you know why it deserved its own video. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on this question. This is the Shadow Ranger. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.